You've spent so much time trying to fit in that you forgot what it feels like to be yourself. At some point, you started living to please others, measuring each step according to what others thought of you. You gave up your peace for approval, your energy for acceptance, and without realizing it, you slowly erased yourself. Until there comes a time when you look in the mirror and you no longer know who you are or what you want. That confusion is not a coincidence. It's the result of having lived more aware of the outside than of your own center. Reconnecting with yourself is not a romantic act, it's an act of strength. It's saying enough to everything that robs you of power, even when that includes people you love. It's regaining authority over your life, learning to say no without guilt and to walk alone without feeling empty. Because loneliness, when chosen, becomes freedom. And that freedom is the point where true emotional stability begins. Stoic philosophy doesn't ask you to distance yourself from the world, but to stop depending on it. To understand that your worth is not in who validates you, but in how you stand firm when nothing goes as expected. This process doesn't seek to harden you, but to strengthen you. It's not about becoming impenetrable, but about living with coherence between what you feel, think, and do. This is the return to self-respect, the point where you stop surviving to start living with intention. Because when you choose yourself, the world may remain the same, but you no longer do. And right there is where your inner power begins. Be you without asking for permission. Being yourself in a world that constantly tries to shape you is one of the bravest acts there are. We live surrounded by voices that tell you how you should dress, think, act, or feel, and without realizing it, you start to fit into molds that were not made for you. Authenticity becomes a threat to those who live off appearances, because whoever shows themselves as they are reminds them of what they dare not be. That's why many will try to make you believe that being different is a defect, when in reality it is your greatest power. Being you without asking for permission does not mean defying the world. It means to stop betraying yourself to please it. It's not arrogance, it's integrity. It's having the courage to stay true to what you feel, even when that makes others uncomfortable. Stoicism teaches that the wise live according to their nature, not according to others' expectations. If every decision you make is thinking about the approval of others, your life will cease to be yours. Because by trying to be accepted by everyone, you end up being no one. From a young age, we were taught to seek validation, to do what others expect, to fit in even if it hurts. But there comes a time when continuing to pretend becomes unbearable. You start to feel empty, disconnected, confused, not because you're lost, but because you've strayed too far from who you really are. The path back to yourself is not always comfortable, but it's the only one worth taking. There is no greater peace than not having to explain your way of being. When you decide to be you, without filters, you begin to attract what really corresponds to you. Relationships become more sincere, opportunities more aligned, and your mind lighter. You no longer need to lie to belong, nor justify your limits, nor carry masks to be accepted. What used to make you feel strange becomes your personal stamp. What you used to be afraid to show becomes your strength. The Stoic does not seek to be admired, he seeks to be consistent. And in that consistency is true freedom. Being you without asking for permission also implies losing things. Some people will drift away, others will criticize you, and many will not understand your change. But that is not loss, it's cleansing. What leaves when you show your authenticity should never have stayed. What remains is what really belongs to you. Authenticity scares away the superficial and leaves space only for the genuine. Do not fear to bother with your truth. Fear to betray yourself with your silence. The fear of being judged is natural, but it cannot be stronger than the desire to live in peace with yourself. No one can bear the guilt of living the life that others expect. Time passes, and the only approval you will need in the end will be your own. When you act from authenticity, every step makes sense. You don't follow trends, you follow principles. You don't seek acceptance, you seek purpose. You don't adapt to the noise, you become silence among the crowd. Being you without asking for permission is an act of resistance in a world that rewards the superficial. It's choosing truth over acceptance, calm over applause, and consistency over fear. You don't need permission to be who you are. You need determination to stand firm when the world tries to shape you. And when you do, you discover that authenticity not only frees you, it also protects you. Because no one can take away what is born from your essence. Being you is not a risk, it is your greatest form of power. 2. Say no without guilt. Saying no is like raising an invisible wall that protects your energy. But in a society that glorifies compliance, setting boundaries is almost perceived as an act of aggression. From a young age, we were taught that saying yes makes us kind, accepted, loved. But nobody explained that this constant yes, when it goes against yourself, wears you down, empties you, and slowly takes you away from your peace. Learning to say no without feeling guilt is not selfishness, it's self-respect. It's recognizing that your time, your attention, and your energy are sacred resources that not everyone deserves. The guilt you feel when you refuse does not come from kindness, but from fear. Fear of disappointing, of being judged, of losing the affection of others. However, the real disappointment comes when you say yes out of obligation and then resent it inside. Stoicism teaches that you cannot control what others think of you. You can only control your actions. And acting against your values just to please others is silently betraying yourself. Saying no does not make you a bad person. It makes you someone who knows how to take care of themselves. Each conscious no is a declaration of power. It means, my peace is worth more than your approval. People who get offended when you set boundaries are the same ones who benefited from you not having them. And when that happens, you're not losing people, you're filtering out the wrong ones. Saying no does not destroy authentic relationships. It only reveals those that depended on your sacrifice. You were not born to be available all the time, nor to carry other people's problems. You were born to learn to discern what deserves your energy and what does not. The fear of saying no also comes from the desire to be seen as a good person. But kindness without limits becomes self-destruction. You can't save everyone without sinking yourself first. The Stoic understands that true virtue lies in balance, being generous without allowing abuse, being empathetic without losing yourself, being kind without becoming complacent. Saying no calmly does not hurt, it teaches. It teaches others to treat you with respect and yourself to value your peace. At first it will be uncomfortable. The mind will try to convince you that you are being selfish, that you should give in, that you could help even if you don't want to. But over time, you'll notice something powerful. Every time you choose yourself, guilt transforms into strength. You begin to feel lighter, more in control of yourself. The no stops being a barrier and becomes a tool to maintain your balance. You don't have to explain, justify, or apologize for prioritizing yourself. Respect is not asked for, it is established with consistency. Learning to say no also involves listening to yourself. Knowing when your body is tired, when your mind needs silence, when your soul is asking for space. It's not all about others, it's also about you. If you ignore your own signals for fear of discomfort, you end up living exhausted, full of commitments that do not belong to you. Saying no is not closing doors, it's opening space for what really matters. Stoicism teaches that control begins in what you allow. Every time you say yes to what you do not want, you lose a part of your inner dominion. But when you learn to say no with firmness and serenity, you regain your freedom. You no longer react from obligation, you act from choice. And that's the difference between living to please and living in peace. Because those who do not know how to say no end up being a stranger in their own life. 3. Accept not being understood. Seeking everyone's understanding is a silent form of slavery. It's like trying to explain the sea to someone who has only seen a glass of water. Not everyone has the capacity, sensitivity, or experience to understand your way of thinking, your story, or your decisions. And that's okay. You didn't come to convince, you came to live. Accepting not being understood is letting go of the need to justify yourself to the world and start walking with the serenity of someone who no longer seeks approval, just coherence. Misunderstanding hurts, especially when it comes from those you love the most. You would like them to understand you, to see your intentions, to feel what you feel. But most people only look from their own filter, and what doesn't fit into their way of seeing life, they reject. It's not personal, it's human. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control others' perception, only the way we react to it. If you spend your energy trying to make everyone understand you, you end up exhausted and empty, because what you seek outside can only be found within. Accepting not being understood is not giving up, it's maturing. It's understanding that clarity doesn't need witnesses. If your conscience is at peace, there is no explanation you need to give. You can't build your life trying to be correctly interpreted by every person you cross. Everyone lives trapped in their own mental map, and what for you is evolution, for others may seem coldness or madness. What for you is freedom, for others will be rebellion. But that doesn't change its value, nor should it change your course. When you stop justifying yourself, you start living more lightly. You no longer waste words where there is no willing ear, nor energy where there is no intention to understand. Tranquility comes when you accept that silence is often the best answer. Not everyone deserves to know your reasons. Some just want to debate them. And when you manage to keep quiet without feeling that you lose, you discover a type of strength that doesn't need validation. The Stoic doesn't seek to convince, he seeks to understand himself. Misunderstanding is also a test of authenticity. The more faithful you are to yourself, the more likely you are to make others uncomfortable. Most people prefer the predictable, what fits, what doesn't question anything. But you're not here to fit in, you're here to evolve. If everyone understands you, you're probably living too much like them. Free minds are not always applauded, but they always leave a mark. History is full of people who were misunderstood in their time and admired later. Don't expect immediate recognition. Expect coherence with yourself. Accepting not being understood also implies stopping explaining everything. You don't need to justify your growth, your distance, your decisions, or your change. Whoever values you won't need to understand every step. They will just see the peace with which you walk. And whoever doesn't, even if you explain your reasons 1,000 times, will continue to see what they want to see. Don't lose your calm trying to translate yourself to those who only listen to respond. Your energy is too valuable to waste on convincing those who have already decided not to listen. When you manage to accept that not everyone will understand you, the world becomes lighter. You stop fighting with perceptions and focus on your purpose. You no longer seek to be understood, you seek to be true. You no longer need to prove, just to move forward. Because the one who understands himself no longer needs to be understood by others. And that is one of the greatest signs of freedom, living in peace, even though others don't understand your path. 4. Embrace solitude calmly. Solitude is not a punishment, it's a mirror. It reflects what you are without adornments, without distractions, without noise. But many flee from it as if it were a threat. They surround themselves with people, with empty conversations, with constant noise, just to not hear the echo of their own thoughts. However, there comes a time when all that noise stops working and life sits you in front of yourself. Then you understand that solitude did not come to destroy you, it came to reveal you. The human being fears being alone because he associates solitude with abandonment. But they are different things. Abandonment is the absence of others. Solitude is the presence of oneself. The first hurts, the second heals. When you learn to be with yourself, without needing the company of anyone to feel complete, you achieve a type of freedom that few know. You do not depend on the attention of others, nor on constant affection, nor on the validation that comes from outside. You begin to enjoy your own company, to truly know yourself and to build a solid relationship with yourself. Stoicism teaches that the wise man is self-sufficient, not because he does not need anyone, but because he does not emotionally depend on anyone to maintain balance. Solitude does not mean living isolated. It means having such a stable center that even in silence you remain at peace. Most people seek relationships to fill voids, but the void is not filled with company, it is filled with awareness. When you know yourself, when you know who you are and what you need, you choose from clarity, not from lack. Embracing solitude calmly is an act of maturity. It is accepting that you will not always have company, that there will be moments where the only support you have is your own thought. And instead of fearing it, learning to value it. Because in that stillness without distractions, the mind gets organized, emotions calm down, and intuition awakens. What once seemed empty becomes space. Space to heal, to think, to create. Well-lived solitude does not destroy, it builds. But modern society does not tolerate silence. It pushes us to believe that being alone is a sign of failure. Everything pushes you to stay connected, available, entertained. However, the real connection begins when you disconnect from everything superficial. When you turn off the noise and listen to yourself attentively. That's where the answers you couldn't find outside emerge. Solitude becomes a teacher when you learn to listen to it without fear. You don't need to fill every space with someone or something. Learn to stay with yourself without anxiety, to enjoy a walk without talking, to eat without checking the phone, to read without thinking about who will see it. Every moment with yourself strengthens your mind and purifies your emotions. If you don't learn to enjoy your own company, you will always end up looking for others to escape from yourself. And escaping from oneself is the deepest form of loss. Embracing solitude calmly does not mean giving up love or affection. It means not subordinating your happiness to them. It means being able to share your life from fullness, not from need. Because only those who have learned to be alone can love without depending, accompany without invading, and understand without demanding. The Stoic finds strength in solitude because he understands that the mind needs stillness to flourish. There is no clarity in the crowd, only noise. But when you are with yourself, without masks or distractions, you discover that you were not missing anything, just time to truly see yourself. Solitude is not an enemy, it's a teacher. 5. Take care of your energy. Your energy is your most valuable currency, and yet you give it away as if it were infinite. Every thought, every conversation, every emotion consumes a part of you. And when you don't know how to protect your energy, you end up exhausted without understanding why. It's not always work that tires you out. Sometimes it's the people, the places, and the thoughts you allow. Taking care of your energy is not isolating yourself from the world. It's learning to wisely choose where you place your attention and to whom you give it. Most people live drained because they try to hold on to everything, relationships that no longer flow, conversations that contribute nothing, worries that solve nothing. But energy, like time, is not recoverable. Each day begins with a limited amount, and how you use it defines your well-being. Stoicism teaches that serenity depends on focusing only on what you can control. Taking care of your energy begins with inner silence. You can't have a peaceful mind if your internal dialogue is full of complaints, fears, and comparisons. Every negative thought you repeat becomes a hole through which your strength escapes. Therefore, taking care of your energy also involves taking care of what you think. You can't build a serene life from a mind at war. Learn to observe your thoughts without feeding them, to choose which ones deserve your attention and which ones only seek to steal your calm. You should also take care of your surroundings. There are people who illuminate and others who extinguish, not because they are bad, but because their energy is not aligned with yours. Learn to recognize this without guilt. You are not obligated to be available for everyone. Establishing distance is not selfishness, it's emotional responsibility. If you allow anyone to have access to your mind and your time, you end up living in constant drainage. Surround yourself with those who propel you, not those who absorb you. The right company doesn't subtract from you, it recharges you. Energy is lost when you get involved in what doesn't concern you. Wanting to fix others' lives, fighting to be right, participating in pointless discussions, all of this takes you away from your balance. Stoicism teaches that virtue lies in acting with purpose. Every word, every action must have direction. If it doesn't, it's better to be silent and conserve strength. Not everything requires your opinion or your intervention. Sometimes, taking care of your energy means knowing when to withdraw. Your body also forms part of this equation. Sleeping little, eating poorly, ignoring signs of fatigue, all of this reduces your vital energy. You can't have mental clarity in an exhausted body. Taking care of yourself physically is not vanity, it's discipline. The body is the instrument of the mind, and if you don't keep it in balance, your energy fragments. Rest, nutrition, and conscious movement are pillars to support your inner strength. Taking care of your energy is not living defensively, it's living consciously. It's learning to say no without guilt, to stop without feeling weak, to choose your battles wisely. It's understanding that you can't control others' behavior, but you can decide how much space you give them in your life. The energy you protect transforms into calm, focus, presence. When you learn to preserve it, you stop feeling drained and start feeling in control of yourself. The mind becomes clear, the body lightens, and your decisions become more firm. The Stoic knows that whoever takes care of their energy takes care of their soul, because therein lies the strength that supports everything else. Don't waste your energy trying to please, argue, or justify yourself. Use it to build what brings you peace. 6. Speak with honesty. Words are like mirrors. They can reflect the truth or distort it according to the intention of the one who uses them. Many prefer to remain silent so as not to upset others, disguise what they feel so as not to be judged, or lie to themselves to avoid facing what hurts. But the truth, when kept for too long, rots from within. Speaking honestly is not to hurt, it's to liberate. It's looking into the eyes and daring to say what you always avoided, even if your voice trembles. Because every time you choose to silence what weighs you down, a part of you dims. Honesty is not an impulsive act, it's a conscious practice. Saying what you think without losing your cool requires courage, especially in a world where most prefer political correctness over reality. But those who speak from the truth do not seek to win arguments, they seek consistency. Stoicism teaches that the highest virtue is to live according to reason and nature, and the word is part of that order. Speaking truthfully keeps you aligned with yourself, frees you from the burden of pretense, and gives you a freedom that no disguise can offer. The problem is that we get used to lying without noticing it. We say we're fine when we're not. We smile politely while something hurts us. We accept agreements we don't want just to avoid disappointing others. This verbal submission wears more than a discussion. The mind cannot live in contradiction for long. Every lie, no matter how small it seems, is an emotional debt with yourself. And sooner or later, the soul charges with anxiety, insomnia, or fatigue. Speaking honestly also means telling yourself the truth, accepting your mistakes without disguising them, your fears without hiding them, and your limits without being ashamed. You cannot demand sincere relationships if you yourself do not live sincerely. Telling the truth, even when it hurts, strengthens character. It teaches you not to depend on approval, because you understand that value is not in pleasing, but in being whole. There is no greater peace than looking back and knowing that you didn't pretend anything. Words carry weight, and when used with clarity, they become tools of respect. Not everyone will withstand your truth. Some will distance themselves, others will criticize you, but there will also be those who approach because they recognize in you what many fear to show. Honesty does not guarantee acceptance, but it does guarantee freedom. Speaking truthfully clears your path, attracts people with the same energy, and most importantly, it gives you back the power over your own voice. Because when you speak from the soul, you no longer need to convince anyone. Just continue being true to yourself. 7. Choose calmness over reacting. The moment you lose your calm is the moment the world dominates you. Every time you react without thinking, you hand over control of your life to what happens outside. It's as if your mind were an ocean, and every word, every provocation, or every inconvenience was a stone thrown into the water. If you can't keep the surface calm, the waves will eventually sink you. Choosing calmness is not weakness, it's mastery. It's looking at chaos and deciding not to enter it. We live in an era where everyone wants to have the last word, where emotions rule more than reason, and where pride is worth more than peace. But what few understand is that calmness is not demonstrated when everything is fine, but when everything seems to crumble and yet you choose not to lose yourself in the storm. Stoicism teaches that true freedom lies in mastering your impulses, because no one who is a slave to their anger or anxiety can consider themselves free. When you react from impulse, you move away from wisdom. When you choose to respond from calmness, you regain power. Reacting is instinct, but maintaining serenity is a choice. You don't need to respond to every attack, nor justify yourself in every misunderstanding. Sometimes silence has more strength than 1,000 explanations. When you focus on preserving your center, others lose the ability to manipulate your emotions. It's not about being indifferent, but about acting with awareness. Because every word you say in a moment of anger becomes a weapon that sooner or later turns against you. The one who masters their calm becomes unpredictable. No one can control someone who doesn't allow themselves to be provoked. That is true strength, maintaining composure even when everything inside you wants to explode. Not to pretend superiority, but because you know that your peace is worth more than any momentary victory. Calmness is not about repressing what you feel, but about directing it intelligently. You learn to breathe before responding, to observe before deciding, and to understand before judging. Every difficult situation is a test of your self-control. And the more you choose calmness, the stronger you become. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become wiser. People react from the wound, but respond from consciousness. That's the difference between repeating patterns and transcending them. The next time someone tries to take you out of your center, remember, no one can take away your peace if you don't give it away. Calmness is your invisible shield, your greatest act of power. And whoever learns to choose it ceases to be a victim of the world, to become a master of themselves. 8. Don't confuse love with sacrifice. There are relationships that feel like walking barefoot on glass. You know it hurts, but you keep moving forward hoping that one day the path will stop cutting you. We were taught to believe that to love is to endure, that showing affection is to bear what destroys peace, that always giving in is a sign of kindness. But that is not love. It is attachment disguised as surrender. Real love does not demand that you break yourself to sustain it. There is no virtue in enduring what extinguishes you, nor nobility in staying where your soul withers. Mistaking love for sacrifice is one of the most common and costly mistakes, because while you wear yourself out giving, believing that this is the right thing to do, you end up emptying yourself inside. Loving is not forgetting about yourself, it is remembering yourself even when you give. Stoic philosophy teaches that you cannot offer what you do not have, and if you do not have serenity, respect, or inner clarity, your surrender becomes dependence. Loving from sacrifice does not connect you, it enslaves you. When you give everything for fear of losing someone, you have already lost yourself. You cannot call love a bond that demands you to renounce your essence. True love propels you, it does not limit you. It gives you space to grow, not to reduce yourself. And this applies to both personal relationships and the ones you maintain with yourself. Self-love is also measured in boundaries, in the ability to recognize when something stops nourishing you. Stoicism teaches to differentiate between what depends on you and what does not. You cannot control how much others value you, but you can decide how much you value yourself. If someone makes you feel that loving is carrying their chaos, it's time to put distance. You are not obligated to heal wounds that do not belong to you or to hold emotions that you did not create. Love does not hurt when it is real. It hurts when we force it to fit where it no longer fits. Loving healthily is giving without losing yourself, accompanying without disappearing, caring without carrying. You don't need to become anyone's savior. People who truly love you do not expect you to sacrifice your peace to stay, but to preserve it, to share it. When you learn to distinguish between love and sacrifice, you begin to heal. You stop attracting bonds that feed on your energy and start building relationships that flow with respect and balance. Loving from consciousness is knowing when to withdraw, not because you don't love, but because you love yourself enough not to stay where you can no longer be you. Love is not measured by how much you endure, but by how much you grow in giving it. When you understand that, you discover that the purest form of love is without losing yourself in the attempt. Because true love does not demand your pain. It demands your presence, and that only exists when you learn to choose yourself without guilt. 9. Choose yourself without feeling guilty. Life keeps putting you in front of mirrors that force you to decide to continue prioritizing others or finally prioritize yourself. Choosing yourself can feel like a betrayal at first, especially when you've spent years believing that your worth depends on how much you give, how much you sacrifice, or how much you adapt to maintain peace. But there comes a point when you understand that peace is not negotiated. It is built from the conscious decision to stop postponing yourself. Choosing yourself is not selfishness, it is emotional maturity. It is saying yes to yourself after years of putting yourself last. From a young age, we were taught that thinking about oneself is a sign of arrogance, that always giving in is the right thing to do, and that loving involves forgetting about one's own needs. We grew up with the idea that being good is to give until we are empty. But the reality is that no one can stand without balance. The one who gives completely ends up exhausted, resentful, and with the constant feeling that no one does the same for him. That's why choosing yourself is an act of respect, not coldness. It is recognizing that your well-being cannot depend on others' expectations. Stoicism teaches that virtue lies in moderation, in not falling into either excess or lack. Choosing yourself means setting boundaries with serenity, learning to say, "This is not good for me," without fear of losing. It is understanding that guilt is only the reflection of your old conditioning, the one that told you that loving others was more important than loving yourself. When you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself, remember that those who truly appreciate you will not ask you to sacrifice yourself. Guilt is a sign of deprogramming, proof that you are breaking a pattern that no longer fits with your growth. At first, people used to seeing you available all the time will call you distant or selfish. Don't take it as an offense. Take it as confirmation that you are healing. It is not your job to keep everyone happy, nor to explain every decision you make to protect your energy. Self-respect is built in silence, step by step, with decisions that perhaps not everyone understands, but that give you inner strength. When you learn to choose yourself, you start to attract experiences that resonate with your new version. You stop seeking acceptance and start acting from authenticity. And although at first it hurts to lose connections, later you feel the freedom of not having to pretend. Choosing yourself does not mean locking yourself in. It means living with coherence, without betraying what you feel to please others. Deep down, it is choosing your peace over the noise. Because when you choose yourself without guilt, the world no longer dictates your value. You are the one who defines it. And that is the true beginning of personal freedom. 10. Live with consistency. Living inconsistently is like trying to walk with one foot in the fire and the other on ice. Sooner or later, you end up falling. Many people say one thing, feel another, and do the opposite. And then they wonder why life feels heavy, why fatigue doesn't go away even though they rest, or why peace seems unattainable. Inconsistency not only wears you down, it also divides. It makes you live in conflict with yourself, defending decisions you know don't represent you. Living with consistency is to stop acting for others and start acting for yourself, aligning what you think, feel, and do without disguises or contradictions. When you live consistently, every step makes sense. You don't seek approval because your compass is inside. You no longer depend on external recognition to feel valid, because you understand that your value does not change according to the gaze of others. But getting there requires courage. It involves letting go of habits, people, and even versions of yourself that were necessary in the past but are holding you back today. It means to stop saying, "I'm fine," when you're not, to stop promising what you won't fulfill, and above all, to stop doing things just to avoid disappointing others. Stoicism teaches that virtue is living in accordance with nature and reason, and this translates into consistency. You can't expect balance if your mind goes in one direction and your actions in another. Every time you betray yourself, your body feels it. Your energy drains and your spirit dims a little more. Inner peace does not come by chance. It comes when your decisions reflect your values, not your fears. When you learn to say what you think and act accordingly, even if it's uncomfortable. Living with consistency does not mean being perfect, it means being honest. It's acknowledging your mistakes without justifying yourself, admitting your contradictions without hiding them, and correcting yourself without punishing yourself. Consistency gives you back integrity, and integrity gives you power, because no one can manipulate someone who lives from their truth. You don't need to defend yourself when your actions speak for you. Consistency is silent, but forceful. It doesn't need applause or explanations, just constancy. There will be times when staying true to yourself will cost you relationships, opportunities, or comfort. But what you gain in return is incalculable: peace, dignity, and inner strength. Because when you live with consistency, nothing haunts you, nothing weighs you down, and nothing and no one can use your own words against you. Consistency gives you firmness in a world full of masks. And when you finally manage to live like this, you understand that the greatest respect you can give yourself is to never betray yourself again. Living with consistency is not a destination. It's a journey that is traveled every day, with small but firm decisions, where every act, every word, and every silence become reflections of the same truth, yours. 11. Don't seek validation, seek direction. Seeking validation is like trying to fill a glass with water that others hold. You never know how much they will give you or when they will stop doing so. And while you wait for that external approval, your thirst for acceptance becomes deeper. Most people live trying to be enough in the eyes of others without realizing that this constant effort takes them away from themselves. You get used to measuring your worth by the number of compliments, by the gestures of recognition, by the likes, or by the applause that lasts a moment and disappears when you stop pleasing. But you can't build a solid life on the instability of others' opinions. External validation is an emotional drug. It gives you a quick feeling of well-being, but then leaves you empty, dependent on more. When your identity depends on how others see you, you stop living for yourself and start acting for an invisible audience. Each choice becomes a strategy to maintain acceptance, not an authentic expression of who you really are. Direction, on the other hand, comes from within. It doesn't seek approval, it seeks purpose. It doesn't need applause, it needs to make sense. Stoicism teaches that there is no greater freedom than being guided by reason, not by opinion. Marcus Aurelius wrote that whoever lets himself be carried away by the crowd loses his way, because the mass does not think, it only reacts. When you stop seeking validation and start seeking direction, everything changes. You no longer ask, "What will they think of me?" but "Does this bring me closer to who I want to be?" You stop acting to be accepted and start acting to be at peace with yourself. Seeking direction is an act of maturity. It involves accepting that not everyone will understand your decisions, that they may even criticize you, but you will remain firm because your compass does not point to applause, but to consistency. It means choosing paths that may not be popular but are true. You don't need to shout your progress, just stay constant. Validation is consumed, direction builds you. The problem is that validation promises something it never fulfills: security. You believe that if you achieve everyone's approval, you will stop doubting. But the truth is that the more you depend on it, the more fragile you become. Direction, on the other hand, strengthens you because it makes you act from conviction, not from lack. It's not about ignoring opinions, but about putting them in their place. Listen without submitting, receive without losing yourself. When you learn to guide yourself by your inner direction, life simplifies. You no longer need to impress, just move forward. You no longer seek to be admired, you seek to be authentic. The external noise becomes irrelevant when your purpose sounds louder than any criticism. Because in the end, validation is an echo that fades, but direction is an internal voice that always accompanies you. Listen to it, strengthen it, and let it mark your path. That's where true freedom begins, the one that doesn't depend on being seen, but on knowing where you're going. 12. Learn to let go of what has already served its purpose. Clinging to what has already ended is like trying to breathe in a room without oxygen. It slowly suffocates you. But the human mind has a dangerous tendency. It confuses permanence with value. You believe that if something hurt to let go, then it should have been preserved. You believe that if a relationship was important, it should last forever. However, life does not work that way. Everything, absolutely everything, has a cycle. Some chapters were necessary to teach you, but not to accompany you eternally. Letting go is not losing. It's understanding that some things only existed to show you a part of yourself that you needed to know. We were taught to resist, not to give up, to hold on even if it hurts. And that teaching, misinterpreted, became a weapon against us. Not everything that breaks needs to be repaired. There are bonds, places, and stages that have already served their purpose. Continuing to hold them is like continuing to water a plant that has already died, hoping it will revive just because it was once beautiful. Stoicism teaches to accept the natural flow of life, what comes and what goes, without resistance or drama. Because nothing belongs to you, you can only enjoy it while it's there and thank it when it goes. Letting go hurts, and that pain is necessary. Not because you should suffer, but because detaching from what gave you identity implies a small, symbolic death. But in that empty space that remains, something new is born: clarity. The clarity of knowing who you are without depending on what you lost. And that, although at first it seems like an abyss, ends up being liberation. The problem is that many confuse letting go with forgetting, and it's not the same. Forgetting is erasing, letting go is understanding. Letting go is looking back without anger, without resentment, and being able to say thank you for what it was, but it no longer belongs to me. Sometimes what ties you is not the past itself, but the version of you that existed in that past. That person who needed approval, who sought love from the wrong places, who endured what today would not tolerate. That's why it's so hard to let go, because by doing so you also say goodbye to who you were. But that's the meaning of growth, to be reborn again and again, even when no one understands why you've changed so much. You don't have to justify your detachments. It's enough to know that they no longer serve you for the path you're building. The Stoic knows that freedom is not obtained by accumulating, but by letting go. Letting go of control, letting go of expectations, letting go of the need for everything to turn out as you imagined. You can't move forward if you keep carrying what weighs you down. Hands full of the old cannot receive the new. And when you finally decide to let go, something curious happens. Fear disappears. You realize that what you were so afraid to lose was never essential, and what really matters never leaves you. Learning to let go is an act of faith. Not in destiny, but in yourself. It's trusting that even without what you thought was indispensable, you'll still be okay. It's recognizing that nothing leaves before it has left you a lesson. And when you manage to do it, when you look forward without resentment, you regain something more valuable than what you lost: your power. Because letting go does not weaken you, it purifies you. It's the silent closing of a door that was once home, but is no longer. And in that closure, the freest and most conscious version of you is born. 13. Control your inner dialogue. Your mind is like a house with thousands of rooms. In some there is light, calm and silence. In others, there are voices that never stop talking to you, reminding you of your mistakes, your failures and your fears. Those voices are not always yours. Many come from what you heard growing up, from criticisms, judgments or comparisons that you absorbed unintentionally. And yet one day you start repeating them as if they were the truth. What is not understood in time becomes a pattern, and what you repeat unconsciously ends up building the life you don't want. Controlling your inner dialogue is not silencing your thoughts. It's learning to distinguish which one guides you and which one sabotages you. The problem is that most people live with an enemy in their head that never stops talking. That voice that says you can't, that you're not enough, or that you're going to fail disguises itself as prudence, but in reality it's fear. Stoicism teaches that it's not the things that disturb us, but what we think about them. This means that the power of your well-being is not in what happens outside, but in how you interpret it. If every thought that passes through your mind becomes a fact, you will live enslaved by your own noise. But if you learn to observe without identifying, you will regain the control that was always yours. Controlling your inner dialogue is a practice, not an act. It requires discipline to stop every time your mind repeats the old lies. It requires awareness not to automatically respond to fear. And it requires patience to replace self-criticism with direction. It's not about becoming positive or denying reality. It's about speaking to yourself with truth and respect. Telling yourself, this hurts me, but I can handle it. This scares me, but I'm going to try. Every word you use with yourself leaves a mark on your mind. If you speak to yourself harshly, you wither. If you speak to yourself clearly, you bloom. No one can have peace if their mind attacks them daily. That's why it's vital to clean up the language you use to talk to yourself. Don't say, I'm a mess. Say, I'm still learning. Don't say, I always fail. Say, this time it didn't work out, but I can improve. Changing the dialogue is not pretending, it's re-educating. It's teaching your mind to obey your direction, not your impulses. Stoicism sums it up in a simple idea: master your thoughts, or they will master you. Over time, you will notice that the more you order your mind, the more your life orders itself. Because your decisions, your emotions, and your relationships are born from what you believe about yourself. If you see yourself as someone weak, you will act as such. If you see yourself as someone capable, even fear becomes fuel. The external reality always ends up reflecting the inner dialogue you maintain every day. Therefore, before trying to change the world, change the way you talk to yourself. Controlling your inner dialogue is building a mental home where you can live without fear. It's turning off the voice that destroys you and giving space to the one that guides you. Not because everything is fine, but because you choose to maintain calm even when chaos surrounds you. When you achieve that, you not only think better, you live better. And you discover that the greatest power is not in always being right, but in having a mind that doesn't betray you. 14. Make silence your ally. Silence is like a clean mirror, reflecting the truth without embellishments. But in a world where everyone competes to be heard, learning to be silent has become a forgotten art. We live surrounded by noise, opinions, judgments, notifications, comparisons. And this noise not only fills your ears, it also fills your mind. You get used to reacting before thinking, to speaking so as not to feel, to distracting yourself so as not to face yourself. But when you manage to stop, when you choose silence over impulse, you discover something powerful. Silence does not empty you, it reveals you. Stoicism teaches that wisdom is not demonstrated by speaking a lot, but by knowing when and how to speak. The wise person listens more than they say, observes more than they react, because they understand that not all battles deserve a response, and not every provocation needs a defense. In silence lies the strength of those who do not need to prove their worth with words. Keeping calm when everyone else is shouting is a form of mastery. It is a sign that your mind no longer depends on external chaos to feel stable. Turning silence into your ally does not mean isolating yourself from the world. It means listening deeply, listening to others, but above all, listening to yourself. Every time you choose to be silent, you are creating space for reflection. And in that space, the wisest decisions are born. The mind cannot think clearly if it does not have pauses. Just as the heart needs rest between each beat, the mind needs silence between each thought. Without it, you live reacting, not choosing. The problem is that many confuse silence with weakness. They believe that whoever does not respond loses. But there is no greater power than that of someone who knows when to speak and when not to. Words lose strength when used without purpose. Silence, on the other hand, weighs. Sometimes silence is the most forceful response you can give. Because the one who remains silent does not always surrender. Often they protect themselves. Not everything deserves your energy or your explanation. And learning that is maturity. In silence, wounds also heal. When you stop filling every space with distractions, you begin to hear what your body, your mind, and your soul are asking of you. Sometimes what you need is not more information, but more silence to process what you already know. Clarity does not come with more noise. It comes when you learn to listen to the void without fear. Silence is the place where the truth stops shouting and starts speaking to you calmly. Stoicism teaches to cultivate inner quietness as a source of strength. There is no serenity without pause, nor wisdom without observation. Learning to be silent is not repressing yourself. It is consciously choosing not to let noise direct your life. When you make silence your ally, you begin to notice details that you previously ignored, to understand situations without the need to argue, to conserve energy instead of wasting it. Silence is not absence, it is presence. It is the company of your own understanding. It does not need explanations, just attention. When you manage to find peace in it, you discover that the mind ceases to be your enemy and becomes your guide. Then you understand that it is not the one who speaks the most who is right, but the one who observes the most, who finds meaning. Because silence, when used well, does not distance you from the world, it connects you with what really matters. 15. Don't compare, evolve. Comparing yourself to others is like running a race where you will never know when you reach the finish line, because the finish line changes with every outside glance. We live in an era where comparison has become a silent custom. You observe what others have, what they achieve, what they show, and without realizing it, you begin to measure your worth with a ruler that does not belong to you. But comparing yourself is a subtle way of losing your way, because it focuses your energy on the outside, when everything you need to grow is within you. The problem is not admiring others, but believing that your path is worth less because theirs seems faster or brighter. What you see is only a part of the picture, the edited version of a life that, like yours, also has shadows. Stoicism teaches that each person has their own destiny and their own pace, and that judging your progress by comparing it to others is as absurd as comparing seasons of the year. Winter does not envy summer, nor does the seed feel inferior to the tree. Each fulfills its purpose in its own time. When you compare yourself, you stop seeing your progress. You ignore what you have overcome, the efforts that no one saw, the days when you kept going despite the fatigue. Comparison robs you of gratitude and replaces calm with anxiety. It makes you believe that you are late, when in reality you are right on time for your own process. Growth is not measured by immediate results, but by the consistency with which you decide not to give up. Evolving is moving forward from where you are, not from where others are. The mind that compares lives in scarcity. It always finds someone with more, with better, with something different. But a mind that evolves lives in expansion. It understands that the important thing is not to be more than someone, but to be more than yesterday. You don't need to prove superiority, you need to demonstrate commitment to yourself. Stoicism calls this inner mastery, moving forward with purpose, without being dragged down by vanity or envy. When you learn to focus on your evolution, comparison loses its meaning. You no longer look around for competition, but within for direction. You begin to celebrate your small victories, those that no one applauds, but keep you standing. You understand that there is no more valuable destination than becoming the best version of yourself, not to be admired, but to be at peace. The real competition is in overcoming your limits, in not letting inertia devour you, in continuing to grow even when no one is watching. Comparing yourself is looking outside and getting lost. Evolving is looking inside and finding yourself. Every time you focus on your personal progress, your mind aligns with serenity, because you no longer live from lack, but from the abundance of knowing that you are moving forward, even if no one notices. There is no rush, no race, no rival. There's only you and the path you decide to build day by day. Stop competing with the illusion of others' success and start investing in your own development. Celebrate every step, even the small ones, because they all bring you closer to where you want to be. Evolving is not arriving first. It's arriving conscious, complete, and at peace. Because life does not reward the one who compares best, but the one who grows authentically. 16. Face discomfort with courage. Growth does not occur in comfort, it occurs in the fire. It's like metal that only strengthens when it goes through heat. Avoiding discomfort is like trying to get far without moving, like expecting transformation without friction. We have been made to believe that peace is found by avoiding conflict, but in reality, true peace is achieved by confronting what is uncomfortable until it no longer has power over you. Facing discomfort is not seeking suffering. It is having the courage to look directly at what you have avoided for too long. Most people run away from discomfort because they confuse it with failure. If something hurts, it is assumed that it is wrong. But Stoicism teaches that what hurts teaches. Discomfort is the language of change, a sign that you are breaking old patterns and entering new territory. The problem is that we want progress without sacrifice, evolution without effort, results without tension. However, every deep transformation goes through the discomfort of letting go of the known. You cannot move forward with fear of discomfort, because that fear is precisely what keeps you tied to the same place. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite it. The Stoic does not break in the face of adversity, he observes it, understands it, and acts calmly. Discomfort does not disappear when you ignore it. It disappears when you go through it. Every difficult situation you face with bravery expands your emotional capacity. What paralyzed you yesterday, today becomes part of your strength. Life does not get easier, you become more resilient. Facing discomfort also means accepting the weight of the process. Sometimes you won't see immediate results. You'll feel like nothing changes or that you're even going backwards. But in those moments of doubt, character is forged. You don't grow when everything goes well. You grow when you learn to stand firm, even when the ground shakes. Discomfort is the gym of the soul. It trains you in patience, discipline, and humility. It teaches you that real control is not in avoiding pain, but in deciding how to respond to it. The problem is that we have learned to numb ourselves to discomfort. We seek distractions not to think, immediate pleasure not to feel, constant noise not to hear what hurts. But everything you don't face accumulates, and over time it becomes a burden. On the other hand, when you dare to face what is uncomfortable, you discover that it was not as big as it seemed. What scared you loses its power when you look at it without fear. Facing discomfort with courage does not make you cold. it makes you strong. Because strength does not come from ignoring pain, but from going through it with awareness. Stoicism sums it up with a simple truth. What you resist persists, but what you accept transforms. It's not about seeking suffering, but about accepting that discomfort is part of the path to a fuller life. Every time you choose to face the difficult instead of running away, you take one more step towards your inner freedom. Discomfort molds you, cleanses you, focuses you. It teaches you to value calm because you knew the storm. When you learn to walk within the fire without burning, you realize that discomfort was not your enemy, it was your teacher. And in that instant, you understand that courage is not about not feeling fear, but about not letting fear decide for you. 17. Practice presence. Living without presence is like watching a movie with your mind in another room. You see the images, but you don't understand the story. Most people don't live, they just remember and anticipate. They wake up thinking about what was missing yesterday and go to bed worried about what might happen tomorrow. In this endless cycle, the present becomes a blind spot. The body is here, but the mind is there, and meanwhile life keeps passing by. Practicing presence is not a romantic idea. It is a way to regain clarity, calm, and control over your own time. The present is the only place where you really have power. You can't change what has already happened or control what will come, but you can decide what to do with this instant. Stoicism teaches that the wise man lives in the now because he understands that he can only act on what is in front of him. However, the modern mind is addicted to distraction. You check your phone every few minutes, fill every silence with noise, and without realizing it, you train your mind to flee from the moment. And when you flee from the present, you also flee from yourself. Practicing presence means reconnecting with what is happening at this moment without judging it. It's observing your breath, feeling the air, listening to your surroundings, and understanding that you don't need to control everything to be okay. Presence is not about stopping thought, but about not letting thought drag you along. Most people live trapped in a mental movie where the protagonist is fear, guilt, or anxiety. But when you decide to bring your attention to the present, everything changes. The noise calms down, the emotions get sorted out, and the chaos loses strength. Being present also involves acting with intention, not doing things automatically but with purpose. Eating without the phone, listening without interrupting, walking without hurry, working without thinking about what's next. Life becomes deeper when you stop running and start inhabiting each moment. Presence doesn't ask you to ignore your goals, but to live them step by step. If every action you take is done with attention, the result will be inevitable. If you act from haste or anxiety, even achievements will feel empty. Mental absence has a high cost. You lose moments that won't come back. Conversations where you weren't present. Days that passed without you feeling them. Opportunities you didn't see because you were somewhere else mentally. The scattered mind steals energy, while the present mind multiplies it. When you're really here, everything becomes clearer. Decisions are simplified, fears are reduced, and problems stop seeming like mountains. Calm is not found by fleeing from the present, but by delving into it. Practicing presence is not a one-day act, it is constant training. It requires you to stop every time your mind wanders and remind yourself, I am here, now. It means observing without reacting, breathing before responding, and consciously choosing how you want to feel. Stoicism teaches that whoever masters their attention masters their life. Because attention is the point where all action is born. When you manage to inhabit the present, time stops chasing you and starts accompanying you. You no longer feel that the days are slipping away from you because you learn to truly live them. You are here, conscious, awake, attentive. And in that state, you discover that you don't need life to be perfect to feel at peace. You just need to be present to truly live it. 18. Be grateful even for what you do not understand. Life does not always speak in a clear language. Sometimes what seems like a punishment is a preparation, and what seems like a loss is a disguised liberation. Everything that happens has a purpose, but you only see it when you stop resisting and start accepting. Being grateful even for what you do not understand is one of the highest forms of wisdom. It is looking pain in the eyes and saying, "I do not know why you are here, but I trust that you are teaching me something I do not yet comprehend." Humans tend to be grateful only for what gives them pleasure and to reject what makes them uncomfortable. But Stoicism teaches that everything that happens is part of the natural order of the universe, even that which does not seem fair. When you adopt this perspective, you stop seeing life as a battlefield and start seeing it as a school. Every experience, no matter how hard, shapes you, trains you, and shows you a part of yourself that you did not know. What you do not appreciate repeats itself because life insists until you understand the lesson. Being grateful for what you do not understand does not mean romanticizing suffering, but giving it meaning. It is not denying pain, it is using it as raw material to grow. When everything falls apart, gratitude becomes the bridge that keeps you standing. It is the inner voice that reminds you that although you do not control what happens, you can always choose how to respond. The Stoic does not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" but "What for?" That shift in focus transforms chaos into learning. In difficult times, gratitude acts as an emotional anchor. When you are grateful, your mind becomes orderly, your body relaxes, and your emotions find a place to lean on. Gratitude does not eliminate problems, but it changes the way you face them. What once seemed like an insurmountable mountain becomes an opportunity for strength. Being grateful does not erase difficulty, but it makes it more bearable, because it reminds you that you still have control over your attitude. The problem is that the mind seeks explanations before acceptance. It wants to understand the exact reason behind each blow, but not everything has an immediate why. There are things that are only understood when time passes, and you can look back with clarity. It is then when you see that what seemed unfair was what woke you up, that what hurt you prepared you for something bigger. Life does not make mistakes, it just has a rhythm that the mind does not always reach. Being grateful even for what you do not understand frees you from resentment. It allows you to close cycles without bitterness and move forward without carrying what you can no longer change. It is an act of humility before existence, a way of saying, "I trust the process even though I do not see the destination." When you adopt that attitude, everything that once seemed like an obstacle begins to make sense. You discover that you were not a victim of circumstances, but a learner of destiny. Gratitude does not need explanation, just awareness. When you truly practice it, you stop asking for life to be easier and start asking to be stronger. Being grateful for what you do not understand is the wisest surrender, not because you give up, but because you accept that there is something bigger guiding your path. And that acceptance, silent and deep, becomes the root of inner peace. Because whoever knows how to be grateful, even in the darkness, has already learned to see the light. 19. Surround yourself with calm, not noise. There are environments that heal and others that sicken without you realizing it. Staying in places where emotional noise reigns is like trying to breathe in the middle of smoke. Sooner or later, you suffocate. It's not just about the noise you hear, but the one you feel. Empty conversations, unnecessary dramas, people who live in complaint or conflict, all of that contaminates your mind more than you imagine. And if you don't learn to recognize it, you end up normalizing chaos, believing that tension is a natural part of life. Surround yourself with calm, not noise, because your environment shapes your mental state more than you think. Calm is not something that is found randomly. It is something that is built with decision. Stoicism teaches that the mind can only flourish in serenity. Just like a plant needs clean soil and enough light, you need environments that don't wear you out. But modern society glorifies rush, noise, non-stop productivity. They teach you that whoever is busy has value, and whoever rests is lazy. However, when everything is speed, you lose connection with your own rhythm. You can't hear your intuition if everything around you screams louder than your mind. Surrounding yourself with calm means learning to choose the spaces, conversations, and companies that nourish your balance. You don't have to be everywhere or with everyone. People who constantly live in chaos will try to drag you to their level, not because they hate you, but because they can't stand to see you calm. But whoever values their peace does not get caught up in that game. You don't have to participate in every drama or respond to every provocation. Your energy is limited, and giving it to noise is wasting it. It is also important to understand that noise does not always come from outside. Sometimes you are the one who sabotages yourself with repetitive thoughts, with worries that do not exist beyond your mind. Surrounding yourself with calm also implies cleaning your interior, stopping, breathing, and not allowing your thoughts to become a storm. External calm begins within you. If you don't organize your mind, no place will be quiet enough. Learn to recognize the signs of noise. If after talking to someone you feel drained, if reviewing your networks invades you with anxiety, if every plan leaves you more tired than happy, you are in the wrong environment. Calm is not sought in the spectacular, but in the simple. A quiet place, a sincere conversation, a conscious routine, all of that is worth more than 1,000 distractions. Stoicism sums it up well. Whoever masters their environment masters their mind. Surrounding yourself with calm does not mean escaping from the world. It means choosing how you want to live in it. You can't prevent there from being noise, but you can decide not to amplify it. Take care of the environment where your mind rests, because there your emotional strength is built. Over time, you will understand that you don't need big things to feel fulfilled. Just an environment that doesn't steal the energy that costs you so much to maintain. When you surround yourself with calm, life begins to have another rhythm. You stop reacting to everything and start responding consciously. Your mind clears, your emotions stabilize, and your body rests. Then you discover that true wealth is not in having more, but in living in peace. Because calm is not bought or imposed, it is cultivated. And once you learn to protect it, you understand that it is worth more than any noise disguised as success. 20. Be the example, not the speech. Words can inspire, but only actions transform. Talking about discipline, peace, or strength is easy when there is no chaos around. True character is shown when the world pushes you to react, and yet you choose to stand firm. Being the example is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's the ability to demonstrate with actions what many only repeat. Speech can convince for a moment, but the example leaves marks that cannot be erased. We live in an era saturated with empty words. Everyone talks about self-love, growth, strength, but few practice it when life gets complicated. Social networks are full of phrases about calm and balance, written by people who cannot stand the silence of their mind. Stoicism teaches that virtue is not in talking about what is right, but in living it. It is useless to preach serenity if you lose control at the first obstacle. Strength is not demonstrated in speeches, it is demonstrated in daily behavior, in how you treat others when no one is watching, in how you act when there are no witnesses or rewards. Being the example implies having a silent integrity. You don't need to announce your values, just live them consistently. People trust more in who embodies what they say than in who tries to explain it. A single consistent gesture has more power than 1,000 words. There is no need to convince, just to be. The one who acts from authenticity does not need recognition. His peace is his testimony. Whoever leads by example does not impose, inspires. True teaching is not transmitted with words, but with presence. When you are faithful to your principles, your energy communicates for you. The one who practices respect radiates respect. The one who lives with calm spreads calm. The one who faces life with dignity becomes a silent beacon for those who still walk in the darkness. You don't need to tell anyone how to live. Just show that it is possible to do it with integrity. The problem is that many seek recognition before consistency. They want to appear wise without doing the internal work that requires. But the truth is not faked, it is demonstrated. Life always reveals who you are when circumstances become difficult. The Stoic does not talk about strength, he practices it. He does not boast of humility, he embodies it. He does not promise balance, he builds it in every decision. Being the example requires constant discipline, even when no one notices. Over time, you will understand that your behavior is your most powerful message. Every action, every silence, every response says more about you than any speech. If you want to inspire, live like what you teach. If you want respect, be respectful. If you want peace, don't demand it, cultivate it. The example has a universal language, that of consistency. And whoever masters it leaves a deep mark without the need to raise their voice. Being the example is not a moral obligation, it is a conscious choice. It is deciding every day to act with honesty, even if it is easier to go with the flow. It is maintaining calm in the midst of noise, not to show control, but because you already have it. It is turning your life into a silent proof of your values. Because in the end, the world listens less to what you say and more to what you do. Words can be forgotten, but consistency is remembered. And whoever manages to live like this does not need to convince anyone, because their mere presence already teaches the essentials. 21. Transform doubt into direction. Doubt is like a fog that settles on the path. It doesn't prevent you from moving forward, but if you stop too much to observe it, it ends up enveloping you until you lose sight of where you were going. Everyone doubts. The brave one is not the one who never feels uncertainty, but the one who learns to use it as a compass. Doubt does not come to destroy you. It comes to make you think, to put you in front of the question that most avoid. Is this what I'm doing really taking me where I want to be? The problem is that we often interpret doubt as weakness. We believe that doubting is a sign of lack of character, when in reality, it is a sign of consciousness. The one who doubts questions, and the one who questions can improve. Stoicism teaches that wisdom does not consist in having answers for everything, but in knowing how to ask the right questions. Doubt forces you to honestly look at what you do out of habit and what you do out of conviction. And in that space of analysis, you often discover that you lack not clarity, but courage to choose firmly. Transforming doubt into direction requires changing your relationship with it. It's not about eliminating it, but understanding its purpose. Every time you feel it, instead of paralyzing yourself, ask yourself what it is trying to show you. Sometimes doubt is intuition in disguise, a sign that your path has deviated from your values. Other times, it is fear disguised as prudence, an internal voice trying to protect you from a necessary risk. The important thing is not to silence it, but to translate it. Behind every doubt, there is a lesson waiting for you. The uncontrolled mind turns doubt into noise. The disciplined mind turns it into a map. When you learn to stop, breathe and observe, confusion dissolves and direction appears. The Stoic does not seek absolute certainties. He seeks inner stability. He understands that life will always have unpredictable variables, but trusts in his ability to adapt to them. Doubt becomes useful when you use it to fine-tune your purpose, not to sabotage it. There comes a time when you have to decide to move forward even without knowing everything. If you wait to have total clarity, life will pass you by. Growth does not occur when you understand everything, but when you act despite not having all the answers. Each step you take reduces the fog, and although it may not seem like it, direction is not found by thinking more, but by moving consciously. The path is revealed by walking, not imagining. Transforming doubt into direction also means trusting in yourself. Trusting that you will know how to correct if you make a mistake, that you will be able to readjust if the course changes, that you do not need external certainties to validate your decisions. No one can give you a more accurate compass than your own judgment, but that judgment only strengthens when you use it. The one who avoids deciding for fear of failing has already failed, because he has allowed doubt to rule him. When you understand that doubt is not an enemy but a warning, everything changes. You accept it as part of the journey, not as an obstacle. You learn to walk with it by your side without allowing it to take the helm. Doubt teaches you humility, but direction gives you purpose. And when both are balanced, you find the serenity of the one who does not need certainties to move forward. Because in the end, what strengthens you the most is not eliminating doubt, but moving forward despite it, with the confidence that each conscious step brings you a little closer to the truth you are seeking. 22. Master your impulses before they master you. Impulses are like wild horses. If you don't learn to control them, they drag you aimlessly until you fall. We all have an instinctive part that reacts before thinking, that wants to respond immediately, to shout, to attack, or to flee. That part is not bad, it's human. But when you let it govern your decisions, you end up regretting what you said, what you did, or what you destroyed in a moment of fury or anxiety. Mastering your impulses does not mean repressing yourself. It means educating that energy to work for you and not against you. The mind without discipline is like a field without fences. Any emotion comes in and wreaks havoc. Stoicism teaches that strength is not in not feeling, but in feeling without losing control. You can get angry without destroying. You can be afraid without giving up. You can desire without obsessing. The difference between someone who acts wisely and someone who lets themselves be dragged is in the second that exists between the impulse and the action. In that brief space is your freedom. That moment where you can choose not to react automatically and respond consciously is what defines your character. In everyday life, impulses appear disguised as necessity. The impulse to respond to a message without thinking, to defend yourself from criticism, to buy something you don't need, to argue just for pride. At the moment, it seems like a small decision, but it's those small surrenders that make you lose power. Every time you react without thinking, you give control to your emotions. Every time you choose to pause, even for a few seconds, you regain ground within yourself. Mastering your impulses requires self-knowledge. You have to understand what triggers them. Sometimes it's not the situation itself, but an old wound that the present only reactivated. When you recognize the origin, you can break the cycle. Stoicism reminds you that you can't control what happens, but you can control your interpretation. And that interpretation is what determines whether you act from calm or chaos. You don't need to eliminate your emotions, you need to govern them. Emotion is not the problem, lack of direction is. Emotional discipline is built with practice. Start with simple things. Breathe before responding. Count to 10 before acting. Don't make important decisions in the midst of anger or fear. They are small gestures, but repeated consistently, they become your new nature. There comes a point where you no longer need to fight against your impulses because they have learned to obey you. Your mind becomes stronger than your emotions. And then you discover a form of power that depends on no one else. Mastering your impulses also gives you clarity. When you're not enslaved by the urgency to react, you see things with perspective. What before seemed like a personal attack, now you see it as a reflection of the other. What used to upset you now barely moves you. Not because you don't care, but because you understand that losing your cool never solves anything. The Stoic knows real strength is measured in control, not in reaction. Over time, mastering your impulses becomes your greatest advantage. You become unpredictable, not because you don't feel, but because you choose when to act. No one can manipulate someone who decides calmly. And in that quiet control, you find the freedom that many seek in vain. Because in the end, power is not in dominating others, but in dominating yourself. And whoever achieves that no longer needs to prove anything, because their calm speaks for them. 23. Learn to rest without feeling guilty. The body is like a taut string. If you stretch it too much, it ends up breaking. If you loosen it too much, it loses its tone. Resting is finding that exact point where tension does not destroy you, and passivity does not make you drowsy. But in a society that glorifies exhaustion as a symbol of success, rest has become almost an act of rebellion. You have been taught that stopping is losing, that sleeping is wasting time, that relaxing is a luxury. However, nothing that is sustained without pause can last. Even the heart, with all its constancy, rests between beats. The exhausted mind makes bad decisions. The tired body loses precision. The saturated soul becomes indifferent. That's why rest is not a reward, it's a necessity. Stoicism teaches that moderation is a virtue, and that includes knowing when to stop. You can't pretend to live clearly if your mind lives in a constant state of war. Rest does not make you weak, it prepares you to stay strong. But the problem is that we have confused productivity with worth, believing that we only deserve peace when we have done everything. Learning to rest without guilt is recognizing that you are not a machine. Your value is not measured by the number of tasks completed or how busy you are. Resting is not giving up. It's maintaining enough energy to not give up later. The Stoic understands that not every action is progress, and that rest can also be a form of movement, a silent readjustment that gives you clarity. When you stop to breathe, you are not wasting time, you are gaining direction. But real rest goes beyond sleeping. It's disconnecting from the noise, from worries, and from the constant need to do. It's giving yourself permission to be without justifying it. It's allowing your mind to recover from so much analysis and your soul to oxygenate from so much demand. There are rests that heal more than any word, moments of pause where you find yourself again. The problem is that many try to rest while their mind keeps working. It's no use turning off the light if the thought is still on. Rest begins when you stop fighting with silence. There is also the guilt of doing nothing, that invisible weight that reminds you of everything you could be achieving while you stop. That guilt is the reflection of a system that taught you to value doing more than being. But resting does not mean stopping your purpose, it means protecting it. If you don't take care of your energy, sooner or later, your body will force you to do it forcibly. Conscious rest is prevention, not loss. Resting is also an act of trust. Trusting that life keeps moving even when you're not pushing all the time. Trusting that you don't need to be in constant motion to have value. Rest does not stop progress, it supports it. Those who do not rest wear out, and those who wear out stop enjoying what they achieve. There is no victory if by the time you reach the goal, you have no energy left to celebrate it. Learn to listen to your internal signals. When the body tenses, when the mind blocks, when motivation turns off, you don't need more effort, you need a pause. Resting does not take you away from your goals, it keeps you capable of reaching them. And when you learn to do it without guilt, you discover a different strength, that of someone who understands that serenity is also productivity. Because those who know how to stop in time never break, they just renew themselves. 24. Do not feed on the past. Clinging to the past is like drinking stagnant water. It seems to quench your thirst but slowly poisons you. You do it without realizing it, reliving memories, repeating stories that have already completed their cycle, and feeding emotions that only keep you in the same place. There are those who do not live in the present. They only compare it with what it was, and in that constant comparison, they get lost. What hurt, what failed, what did not turn out as you expected, becomes a shadow that continues to walk by your side, stealing your clarity to look ahead. But life is not in what happened, it is in what you do now with what you learned. The past can be a teacher or a jailer. It depends on how long you stay looking at it. Stoicism teaches that what has already happened belongs to destiny, not to worry. What you cannot change should not occupy space in your mind, because every minute you spend wishing things had been different is a minute less building what you can still transform. There is no freedom in looking back, hoping for a perfect closure. Freedom begins when you accept that not everything is resolved, and that even with scars, you can keep moving forward. Remembering is not the problem is reliving. Reliving is feeling again what you have already overcome, repeating the same thoughts until they become part of your identity. You tell yourself that you learned, but you keep going back to the same emotional point. The past is not overcome when you forget it, but when you stop needing it to justify who you are. If everything you say or do is explained by what they did to you, you have not yet freed yourself. Looking back with gratitude is one thing, doing it with resentment is another. You can thank what shaped you without idealizing what you lost. You can accept what hurt without carrying it as an eternal burden. The past was a school, but not a home. If you keep going back to it, you will end up living in old lessons while life keeps moving forward. The Stoic does not erase his history. He integrates it, observes it without attachment. Like someone who looks at a book he has already read and understands that he does not need to read it again to remember the lesson. Stop feeding on the past also means forgiving yourself, because sometimes it is not the memory that hurts, but the guilt for not having done better. But you will understand that at that moment you did what you could with what you knew. If today you would do it differently, that is not a reason for punishment. It is a sign of growth. The past shows you your evolution if you look at it with compassion, not with judgment. Time does not erase wounds, but it teaches you to walk without them hurting so much. And every time you decide to let go of an old story, something in you lightens. The past does not close with explanations, it closes with decisions. Decisions to stop talking about what was and start acting on what can be. Life does not wait for you to heal to continue, so learning not to feed on the past is vital if you want peace. When you finally stop chewing on the same memories, your mind clears, your energy renews, and the present begins to have flavor. Then you understand that there is no greater liberation than that, not needing to look back to feel complete, because the past has already fulfilled its function. And you now have the opportunity to write a story that does not repeat the same, but shows how much you have learned to live. 25. Make your peace non-negotiable. Peace is like a flame in the wind. If you don't protect it firmly, any current extinguishes it. And the problem is not that the wind exists, but that you let it in without a filter. Every time you allow someone to steal your calm, you surrender control of your mind. Every time you react to what you cannot change, you lose power. Your peace cannot depend on circumstances, on the behavior of others, or on the approval you receive. If it does, it's not peace, it's a conditional pause. True peace does not come from everything being in order, but from maintaining balance even when nothing is. Make your peace non-negotiable, because if you give it up easily, the world will find 1,000 ways to take it from you. There will always be people who provoke, situations that challenge you, and thoughts that try to drag you into chaos. But when you decide that your peace is priceless, everything changes. You don't keep quiet out of fear, but you also don't respond impulsively. You don't run from conflict, but you choose not to live in it. You don't wait for calm to come from outside, you create it within you. That is the essence of Stoic control. Understanding that you cannot direct events, but you can master your reaction to them. Peace is not weakness, it's a form of strength. It's the mind that doesn't need to prove anything, the heart that doesn't respond to empty provocations, the person who knows when to speak and when silence is more powerful. The one who defends his peace is not cold, he is wise. He understands that the noise of the world is not worth the price of his serenity. And whoever achieves this becomes free. Because when nothing and no one can alter your inner balance, you are impenetrable. However, maintaining peace does not mean staying away from everything, but wisely choosing where to place your energy. You cannot be well if you constantly expose yourself to what drains you. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not those who feed off your calm. Learn to say no, to disconnect, to set boundaries without fear of losing affection. Peace is sustained with small but firm decisions. Turning off the phone when you need silence, not getting into meaningless arguments, letting go of the need to always be right. Every renunciation of chaos is an invisible victory. Stoicism teaches that peace comes from mastery over oneself. It's not about avoiding problems, but facing them without losing composure. Accepting that life will not be perfect, but you can be stable within it. You can't avoid the rain, but you can learn not to get wet more than necessary. Serenity is the greatest sign of power because it shows that you have stopped reacting and started responding. Making your peace non-negotiable also implies accepting that not everyone will understand your calm. There will be those who confuse it with indifference, those who try to provoke you just to see if you still have weak points. But the one who lives in peace does not need explanations. His stability makes uncomfortable those who have not yet found their own. That's why you should protect your calm like a sacred treasure, not with fear, but with dignity. When you decide that your peace is non-negotiable, everything begins to fall into place. Your relationships change, your thoughts clear, your priorities align. You begin to understand that you don't need to win all the battles. Just maintain your center. And when you achieve it, life stops feeling like a war and becomes a path you can walk with serenity. Because there is no greater victory than preserving calm when the world tries to snatch it from you. 26. Don't wait for validation. Trust your own judgment. The need for approval is like a bottomless pit. The more you fill it, the emptier it feels. You seek looks that confirm your worth, words that make you feel enough, but nothing seems to last. This constant search for validation turns you into a prisoner of others, because your emotional state begins to depend on what they think. Each compliment becomes fuel and each criticism a wound. But the truth is that as long as you continue needing the approval of others, you will never be free. External validation is a soft drug. It disguises itself as motivation, but it generates dependence. It makes you believe that you need to be recognized to have value, when in reality the most important recognition comes from your own judgment. Stoicism teaches that the opinion of others should not have power over inner tranquility. What others think of you does not define you, it only reflects you from their limited perspective. Most do not see you as you are, but as they are. That's why basing your identity on the gaze of others is like building a house on sand. A single criticism is enough to make everything crumble. Trusting your own judgment does not mean closing yourself off to others, but learning to filter. Listening is not obeying, and accepting advice is not giving up your criteria. The inner voice, the one you sometimes ignore for fear of being wrong, is usually the wisest. But it fades when you replace it with everyone's opinions. You can't move forward with confidence if every step depends on the approval of others. Clarity is lost when you try to please everyone, because to do so, you have to fragment yourself. Those who seek validation live in defensive mode, adapting their behavior to be accepted, taking care of their image so as not to be judged. But those who trust their judgment act from coherence. They don't need to prove, just do what's right according to their values. And when you align with your own truth, peace comes alone. The Stoic knows it. The free mind does not ask for permission to think, nor apologies for being true to itself. Trusting yourself does not mean believing that you are always right. It means knowing that you have the courage to correct when you are wrong. That is the difference between arrogance and wisdom. The arrogant seeks to be right, the wise seeks to understand. When you learn to trust your judgment, mistakes stop scaring you because you know you can learn from them. Your power is not in always being right, but in not depending on anyone to make decisions. External validation is unstable because it changes with the mood of others. One day they admire you, the next they criticize you. If you let that define your value, you will live in constant imbalance. Stoicism teaches that true freedom is internal. Nothing external should alter your serenity. If it does, it means that you have placed your power in the hands of others. Recovering it involves remembering that no one can invalidate you without your consent. Start trusting yourself in a practical way. Make small decisions without consulting anyone. Listen to your intuition, evaluate your results, and learn from them. Over time, your criteria strengthens and your mind becomes more stable. You stop depending on the external noise and start guiding yourself by your internal compass. Approval ceases to be a need and becomes a natural consequence of your authenticity. When you understand that you don't need validation, life becomes lighter. You no longer act to impress, you act because it's the right thing to do. You no longer fear disappointing because you know you're not betraying yourself. And when you live from that freedom, respect comes alone, without asking for it, without forcing it, because the world ends up admiring those who don't need it. Danke, dass du bis zum Ende des Videos geblieben bist. Wenn du alles gesehen hast, kommentiere, ich bin stoisch, als unser geheimes Zeichen, um zu wissen, dass du ein wahrer Schüler des Stoizismus bist. Vergiss nicht, den Kanal zu abonnieren und das Video zu liken, wenn es dir gefallen hat. Wir sehen uns im nächsten Video und denke daran, kultiviere weiterhin deinen stoischen Geist.